Yeah, 17 and married. Long story. This one's worse. The AC in our van had been dead since June, and Dana refused to get it fixed. Said I should man up and deal with it. Her mom was riding shotgun, sipping from a dented travel mug that smelled like cheap vodka. She muttered every few seconds about how useless I was. I was trying not to pass out from the heat, breathing slow, and Dana suddenly turned in her seat. "Jesus, you breathe like a hog." I mumbled an apology, staring at my knees. My hand went into my pocket, feeling for my phone. I'd started keeping the 911 screen ready ever since she bruised my ribs with a mop handle 2 months ago. Before I could think twice, Dana shoved open her door and came around the van. I reached for the lock, but the child lock was still on from when our son was in the back earlier. Too late. She yanked it open, grabbed my shirt collar, and slammed the door into the side of my head. Her mom burst out laughing. "Maybe now he'll grow some balls." Pain exploded in my skull. I felt wetness run down my face, blood, hot and sticky. I let my body slide halfway out of the seat, pretending to go limp. My phone was still in my hand. I tapped the send button on the 911 screen. Dana leaned over me, her voice low and mean. "Get up." I whispered just loud enough for the dispatcher to hear. "Help! Kroger lot!" She froze for a split second, then tightened her grip on my shirt and yanked me up like she was about to swing again. Her mom was already out of the passenger side, walking around, muttering about finishing it at home. I stayed limp, letting my legs drag, my head loll. They started arguing about whether to shove me back into the van or just leave. Dana's voice was sharp, almost panicked now. Her mom's was cold. Then I felt her fist twist in my collar again, jerking me upright. Quick note. Before we keep going, share in the comments which city or country you're watching from. Glad to see you here, and let's continue. Dana hissed, "Don't make me do this here." I kept my mouth shut, eyes half closed, body heavy. My phone was still connected. Every word was going somewhere I prayed they'd never see coming. Dana hissed, "Don't make me do this here." Before she could finish, a woman's voice came from somewhere to my left. "Hey, are you okay?" Dana snapped her head toward the sound. "Mind your damn business." Her mom took a step closer to me and kicked at my foot like she was trying to wake a dog. "He's just playing dead, coward." I kept my eyes half shut, breathing slow, listening. Then came the faint wail in the distance. Sirens, the kind that make your chest tighten, even when they're for you. Her mom's face twisted. "You called them?" Dana bent down, her grip on my collar tightening. "What the hell did you do?" The sirens got louder. My heart thumped against my ribs like it was trying to break out. I could hear the dispatcher's faint voice still on the line from my phone, tucked between my thigh and the seat. 2 black and whites rolled in fast, boxing our van in from the front and rear. A uniformed cop jumped out, hand on his holster. "Ma'am, step back from him now!" Dana didn't move. "He's my husband! He's faking it! You don't understand!" The other cop was already on the passenger side, pulling the door open. "Step back." I heard my own voice, thin, broken, from the dispatcher's playback coming through their radio. "Help, Kroger lot." And then, Dana's voice right after. "Now we gotta clean this mess up." The first cop's expression changed hard, like a door slamming shut. "You've assaulted him," he said flatly. He waved toward the ambulance pulling in behind them. "Get him on the stretcher." Dana's mom tried to speak up, all fake concern. He slipped getting out of the van. I lifted my head just enough to look her dead in the eyes and said, She slammed my head in the door because I was breathing too loud. The EMT crouched next to me, eyes scanning my scalp. "Looks like a compression fracture. We've got you, sir." He slid the stretcher closer, and the moment I was on it, my body gave out completely. Dana was still yelling, trying to talk over the cops. "He's lazy. You're wasting your time." The EMT didn't even look at her. "Let's roll." As they lifted me, the world tilted, and I saw her mom's travel mug slip from her hand, hit the asphalt, and split open. the sharp smell of vodka mixed with the metallic tang of my own blood. Glass crunched under the EMT's boots as they wheeled me toward the ambulance. One cop followed alongside, asking questions I barely heard. My head pounded so hard I thought I'd puke. Dana's voice was still carrying across the lot, shrill and bitter, but it was getting smaller with each step away. The woman who'd called out earlier was standing near her car, arms crossed tight. She caught my eye, gave me the smallest nod, then turned to give a statement to the other cop. Inside the ambulance, the EMT pressed gauze to my head. "You're safe now. Stay with me, all right?" I tried to nod, but it came out more like a slow roll of my neck. The doors slammed shut, muting the chaos outside. The ambulance doors slammed and the siren tore open the air. The EMT kept pressing gauze to my scalp. "We're 3 minutes out. Stay awake." "I'm awake," I said, though my tongue felt thick and my jaw clicked when I talked. My fingers tingled. My right leg didn't want to play along. We swung into the ER bay. Bright lights, rubber wheels, a burst of cold air on my sweaty neck. They rolled me straight into a room with a blue curtain and a ceiling full of squares. I stared at each one to keep from throwing up. A trauma doc in green scrubs leaned in, eyes quick. "I'm Dr. Salinas. Tell me your name." I gave it. He shined a light in my eyes, moved his thumb side to side. "Follow." I tried. The light smeared. He touched the edge of the wound and I flinched. "Okay, CT now. And rib films. Vitals stable?" "Mostly," the EMT said. "Head trauma, possible loss of consciousness. Mechanism is door impact." They transferred me to a narrower bed. The nurse clipped a pulse ox to my finger and asked for my birthday. I answered. She still looked at the monitor like she didn't trust me. "Any pain anywhere besides your head?" she asked. "Ribs," I said. "Right side. Old and new." "We'll check them." She peeled blood-soaked gauze off gently. "Sorry. This will sting." I gripped the rails. The smell of antiseptic cut through the copper taste in my mouth. When she cleaned the skin, I felt the pattern pressed into me, ridged, rubbery. She noticed it too. She took out a hospital camera and snapped photos at different angles. "What's that for?" I asked. "Documentation," she said. "It matters." They pushed me down the hall for scans. The CT machine hummed like a dryer full of rocks. I tried to keep still as the table slid in and out. My right hand trembled on its own. I told it to stop. It didn't. Back in the room, Dr. Salinas reappeared with the images on a screen. He pointed with a capped pen. "You've got a linear fracture here." His finger traced a hairline across the bone. "You also have evidence of older injuries, healing rib cracks that don't match a single fall. Your brain scan shows a concussion. That's why your balance is off and your hand is shaky." "So I wasn't imagining it," I said. He met my eyes. "No, you weren't." He wrote orders. "We'll keep you for observation. Someone from social services is coming in. Don't leave." "I'm not going anywhere." The nurse came back with a soft collar and a fresh set of gauze. She took 2 more photos of the swelling, close enough that I could see the Dorseal's groove printed in my skin. She labeled each one with the time and my name, slow and careful, like it was fragile. A woman with a clipboard slid in and pulled a chair close to my bed. "I'm Marcy," she said, "social worker. I listened to the radio traffic and the EMS notes." She tucked her hair behind her ear. "You did the right thing calling." My teeth chattered even though I wasn't cold. My hands shook so hard she steadied the cup when I tried to drink water. "It's normal to shake," she said quietly. "Your body is dumping adrenaline. You're safe here." Safe felt like a big word for a thin curtain and a throbbing head, but I nodded. She asked for the basics. I gave them, short and flat. She wrote it all down, not flinching when I said she instead of my wife. A cop poked his head in, then another. They asked if they could play something for me. One held up his radio. The dispatcher's recording came out tinny and small, my whisper, "Help, Kroger lot." Then Dana's voice, annoyed and crisp, "Now we gotta clean this mess up." The timestamps stacked under it like steps. Marcy wrote the minute, the second, the words. She even wrote the pause between them. "Is that your voice?" the officer asked. "It is," I said. He nodded, jaw tight. "We've got statements from a shopper and both responding officers. We'll need yours once you're cleared." "I'll give it." They stepped out. Marcy stayed. "Do you have anyone we can call?" she asked. "My sister," I said. "But she's in Oregon. It's fine." "It's not fine," she said, but she didn't push. She just set her card by the bed and said, "If you need to breathe, I'll count with you." Then she sat there and matched me, in and out, like Tide. The nurse returned with a tablet. "I need to record your injuries," she said. Verbatim. "Tell me what happened using your words." I kept it simple. The time, the parking lot, the door, the smell of vodka, the line about my breathing, the way my head hit metal and rubber. I said I'd pre-dialed weeks ago when the mop handle had left a bruise shaped like a crescent moon. She typed. When I paused, she didn't fill the space with anything. She just waited. By 10, the pain meds took the edge off enough that I could sit without the room careening. Dr. Salinas checked my reflexes again. "Your hand tremor should settle with rest," he said. "No screens tonight, no driving. If you feel worse, nausea, confusion, tell us." "Will I?" I gestured toward my head. "You'll heal," he said, "but slowly, and we'll schedule a follow-up." Around 11, the officers came back with a recorder and a form. "We're opening a case tonight," the older one said. "The audio's strong. The video from a bystander is being uploaded. With the medical findings, the DA's moving fast." I signed where they pointed. My signature looked like it had been written in a moving car. At a few minutes past midnight, a sergeant in a white shirt stepped in. He spoke straight, no fluff. "She's in custody. Her mother, too." He read off the list. Serious charges for Dana, accessory stuff for her mom, plus failing to report. My chest felt like it got lighter and heavier at the same time. Marcy murmured, "You're not alone in this." She wrote down the time on her clipboard, 12:06. A detective showed up just after, coat over his arm, hair flattened from a long day. He introduced himself, pulled up a chair, and set a thin folder on the tray table. "I've reviewed the reports," he said. "I also pulled your prior ER visits. 3 of them. Ribs, tooth, a contusion to your shoulder. Different dates, different stories. Same pattern." He didn't sound accusing. He sounded tired and sure. "Why didn't you report before?" he asked. I stared at the idea of saying it out loud. My voice came out hoarse. "She always said nobody would believe me," I said, and I believed her. He nodded once like he'd heard that 100 times. "You're believed now." He slid the recorder closer. "Walk me through the last 2 months. Start with the mop handle." I did. He asked sharp questions. I answered. He wrote quick notes, then asked for my phone. "We'll download the call log with your consent," he said. "Take it," I said, and handed it over. He bagged it, sealed it, and snapped the label tight with his thumb. Then he stood. "We'll be in touch tomorrow. Get some rest." He tucked his card next to Marcy's. The nurse came back with a cup and 2 pills, set the bed a notch lower, and dimmed the light. I reached for the water with my sore hand and held it steady on the second try. Then I pressed the call button to let her know I'd swallowed both. I lay there in the dim hospital light, collar itching my neck, the room quiet except for the monitor clicking every few seconds. The ceiling wouldn't let me sleep. It just pulled me backward, like it wanted a full accounting. We'd been married 10 years. The first cracks were small and easy to ignore. Dana mocked in little cuts. "Why do you chew so loud? Do you have to breathe like that? You look stupid when you concentrate." She'd laugh like it was a joke and then watch my face to see if I'd flinch. I learned not to. She worked days at a kid's sports facility, came home wound tight, and unloaded. If I mentioned a friend from high school, she rolled her eyes. "You still need boys' night? Grow up." If someone texted, she'd hold my phone and read it slowly, then hand it back like a teacher returning a failed quiz. Back then, I had a warehouse job on the south side of Dayton. Nights, heavy lifting, predictable pay. Dana called it too pathetic. Those hours are for people with no drive, she said. You want to be a dad who's never home? How about you learn a skill? I did. At least I tried. I quit and started doing contract carpentry out of the garage. I liked the sawdust and the square truth of a level line. The work made sense in a way nothing else did. Every time I got a deposit, she found a reason it needed to go. The Honda's making a noise. Mom's prescriptions are ridiculous this month. I need a few bottles for book club. Wine receipts piled up in the junk drawer. When I asked to save for tools, she'd say, "We have priorities," and slide her card out like a blade. Her mom moved in after a hip scare. A few months, they said. She brought 2 suitcases, a box of gin, and a mouth that never stopped. "He's lucky someone tolerates him," she'd tell Dana, loud enough for me to hear. "You put up with so much." She took the good recliner and the remote and decided what dinner smelled like. She encouraged Dana's temper, the way some people feed strays. Small scraps at first, then whole plates. Brady was born in year 3. I was 20. He had my eyes and Dana's stubborn jaw. I held him and promised I'd do better than the men I knew. When Dana got loud, I learned to quiet the house before he woke up. I'd sweep, wipe counters, set his bottles, keep the TV low. If a fight came at midnight, I'd slide off the bed and take the floor. Carpet burn on my hip, my cheek against cold wood. It was better than letting Brady see her throw things. The mocking turned into shoves that turned into sharper hits. The first time she broke a rib, she used the broom handle like it was a pointer and I was a chart. I heard the crack, but told the ERI slipped on the back steps. The tech winced when he rapped me. "Careful at home," he said. "Those stairs will get you." I nodded. I let him believe it for both of us. Money kept disappearing. I'd come in from sanding a table to find the mail spread out, and Dana circling numbers with a red pen. "Where's this $85? She'd snap. I'd point to a plank and say oak, and she'd laugh. I asked for money, not a vocabulary lesson. Then her mom would chime in. "He thinks making a birdhouse makes him a man." They'd drink in the kitchen and nudge each other like teenagers. We used to go to church on Sundays because Dana liked the way people looked at her when she volunteered. She coached Brady's toddler soccer and clapped at the wrong moments. Everyone loved her. She smiled with her whole face for them. Men shook my hand and said I was lucky. Women told me Dana was a force. After service, an old couple would ask how we were doing, and Dana would fold herself into my side and say, "He's my rock," and pinch the skin at my waist where no one could see. I stopped telling people anything. If I hinted, the eyes went soft in that way that says, "You must be mistaken. She's a sweetheart." And what was I going to say? My wife hates how I breathe. My wife counts my chews. My wife keeps score with bruises you won't believe because they don't fit the script, so I swallowed it. I got quieter. I told myself to be smaller. Work from home helped and hurt. I liked Brady being around. He'd sit on a milk crate and hand me screws with sticky fingers, the two of us listening to baseball on the radio. But it meant I was always available for Dana's demands. "Come inside and deal with this cable bill." "Mom needs a ride." "We need groceries." If I said, "I'm mid-glue-up," she'd say, "Pause your little hobby." I learned how long glue stayed workable because she made me learn it the hard way. The porch steps were slick in winter. That's what I told the dentist when I chipped my tooth. The truth was we were arguing about a late pickup at daycare. She shoved my shoulder and I went down, mouth first. At the clinic, the dentist said, "We'll bond it. Easy fix." He asked if I'd fallen, and I nodded because what else do you do in a small room with a stranger and a light in your face? Brady started repeating lines he heard. "Don't breathe like that," he said once, copycatting her cadence. I went to the bathroom and sat on the edge of the tub until my hands stopped shaking. That was the night I slept in the hallway outside his door, just my body between him and the world. In the morning, he pulled my ear and giggled. "Daddy, why you here?" I said. "Guard duty." And he gave me a toy dinosaur and walked away like I'd said the weather. Every few months, Dana promised a reset. Let's start fresh. It lasted a week. She'd make a list of goals on a whiteboard and wipe them clean when she got bored. Her mom never liked those weeks. She poured drinks louder and told stories about her own husband, how he never put her first and got what he deserved. I didn't ask what that meant. I taught myself to anticipate the moment right before it turned. Her jaw would set. Her wrists would go still. The house would get electric in that way animals feel before storms. I got good at standing where there was room to move. I got good at lowering my voice so Brady wouldn't hear. Dana always knew how to fold a fight into my mouth so it looked like my fault. If a bill was late, it was because I was sloppy. If Brady cried, it was because I coddled him. If her mom stumbled on the rug, it was because I left it crooked. She'd point and say, "See? He can't even handle a rug." Then I'd fix the corner while they watched. After a while, even the good days felt like waiting rooms. We'd grill in the backyard, Brady squirting the hose at his feet, Dana sipping wine, her mom in a lawn chair with a blanket even in summer. Neighbors waved. Dana lifted her glass and called, "We're great." The second the screen door shut behind them, she'd tell me the burgers were overcooked and I didn't listen. I learned every version of wrong. I thought about leaving 100 times. I pictured packing Brady's clothes into a contractor bag and walking out. Then I pictured the look on his face when I didn't tuck him in. I pictured the judge who'd hear coach and church and volunteer and decide I was a bitter husband. Dana said no one would believe me. She said it with such certainty that it lodged in my throat like food I couldn't swallow. So the years lined up. Mocking turned to orders. Orders turned to hits. Hits turned to rules about where I could stand, how I could eat, what air I could take. I made furniture that outlasted moods and hid the receipts for the good wood where no one would think to look, inside an empty paint can behind the mower. I kept 120 in my wallet and a 20 in a book in case I ever had to run. On the tray table, the social worker's card sat next to the detective's. The clock on the wall clicked to a new minute. I reached over, slid both cards into the pocket of my hospital gown, and tucked them flat with my thumb. I kept those two cards, Marcy's and the detective's, on my nightstand in the rehab unit, like proof I wasn't imagining all this. 2 weeks later, the phone rang. Unknown number. "This is Morris, the assistant district attorney," the voice said. "I'm calling to let you know. We're moving forward. The 911 call will be central to the prosecution." I pressed the phone harder to my ear. That's enough to stick? On its own, maybe not. But combined with the medical evidence, the witness statements, and the video, yes, we've got her. Her lawyer came out swinging early, calling it a momentary lapse in judgment. Said I'd overreacted. Morris sent me the transcript, my quiet words, "Help, Kroger lot," followed by Dana's flat, almost bored voice. "Now we gotta clean this mess up." He told me, "Juries hate calm cruelty." It reads as intent. The EMT's testimony was another nail. He described the ridged mark from the door seal, the way my pupils lagged, the fracture pattern. "You can't get that from a simple fall," he said in his statement. "You get that when someone slams something on your head and keeps pressure." Then there was the woman from the parking lot. She'd started filming after Dana told her to mind her business. The footage caught everything, the smear of blood down my temple, the way my body slumped, Dana's mother hissing, "He's just playing dead," and then almost casual, "Just throw him in the back. We'll deal with it later." Morris called that gold more than once. Pre-trial hearings started fast. I sat in the gallery, tie too tight, back straight. Dana never looked at me directly. She whispered to her lawyer, sometimes smirking, sometimes rolling her eyes. The judge didn't bite. Her defense tried to suppress the 911 tape, claiming it was prejudicial. The judge leaned forward. "It's life-saving evidence," she said. "It stays." Dana's jaw locked like a vice. That's when my sister flew in from Oregon. I hadn't seen her in 8 years. Dana had blocked her on every channel after an argument over Christmas money. When she walked into the courthouse, she scanned until she found me. She hugged me so tight my ribs ached. I knew something was wrong, she whispered. I didn't know how bad. Dana's family didn't waste time trying to shame me. One cousin leaned in during a recess and said, "Real men handle their wives without dragging them into court." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The recordings were louder than anything I could say. During one hearing, Morris played the parking lot video without sound first, just to let the jury candidates watch the body language. Dana stood over me, arm tight in my collar, her mother pacing like she was deciding on a grocery list. Then he played it again with audio. The words filled the room, thick and ugly. One man on the panel shook his head slow. A woman covered her mouth. Afterward, Morris told me, "That's the reaction we want." They're seeing it's not about a bad day, it's about a pattern. Pattern. That was the word that kept showing up in motions and filings. The detective had dug up the 3 prior hospital visits. The dates lined up with neighbors remembering shouting, with my old work logs showing missed days. The ER doctors from those visits were subpoenaed. One had written "patient states fall" in the notes, but later admitted it didn't look like one. Her lawyer started reaching for anything. Claims I had a temper, that I was unstable. They floated the idea I'd injured myself for sympathy. Morris countered with photos of the mop handle bruise from months before, the door seal imprint, the fracture scans. "These aren't self-inflicted," he told the judge. They also tried to frame it as mutual combat. That fell apart when the EMT testified I was limp and unresponsive when they arrived. The parking lot witness backed that up, saying he wasn't fighting her. He looked like he could barely move. Every day I sat through it, my hands in my lap, my eyes forward. The bailiff noticed. He told me once in the hallway, "You don't rise to bait." That's good. Let your lawyer do the swinging. Morris warned me they'd drag my name through mud in the local press. "She's got friends who will paint you as weak or vindictive. Don't read it," he said. I didn't. My sister did, though. She printed one out and slid it into a folder marked "Evidence." The weight of it was constant. Every step up those courthouse stairs felt like carrying sandbags, but every hearing ended the same. Me walking out, Dana staying behind with her lawyer, her mom muttering like the whole thing was beneath her. One morning, they brought Dana in wearing county orange instead of her street clothes. She didn't smirk that day. She stared at the table, lips pressed. I didn't let myself feel anything for it. The last pretrial motion was over jury instructions. Her side wanted reckless injury as an option. Morris fought it hard. "This wasn't reckless," he said, voice sharp. "It was deliberate, sustained, and intended to cause serious harm." The judge agreed. No lesser charge. When it was over, Morris leaned toward me. "We've got them where we want them," he said. "All that's left is trial." I walked out of the courthouse into cold air that smelled like exhaust and wet leaves. My sister fell into step beside me, carrying a coffee she'd been saving for me. I took it. Hands still steady, eyes forward. The next time I saw Dana, it would be in front of 12 people who'd hear everything. And they wouldn't be able to unhear it. Trial week started like a storm you can see coming for miles. Same courthouse, different air. The jury filed in. A mix of button-downs, hoodies, and faces that looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. I sat at the plaintiff's table with Morris, hands folded so they wouldn't tap. The state went first. He laid out the timeline like a clean blueprint. My call, the injuries, the bystander video, the medical scans, the prior ER visits. He played the 911 tape right off. My voice was barely a breath. Help. Kroger lot. Then Dana's. Now we have to clean this mess up. You could feel the shift in the room, the same way you feel when a shop machine jams. Silence, then something sharp in the air. Dana's lawyer tried to look relaxed, flipping his pen, saying words like overreaction and heat of the moment. He kept glancing at the jury like he was checking if the spell was working. It wasn't. You could see it in the way they leaned forward when Morris called the EMT. The EMT was solid, talking about the pattern of injury, the door seal imprint, the glass on the ground. "That wound didn't happen by accident," he said. "It was applied force, multiple times." The woman from the parking lot took the stand. She was nervous at first, twisting her necklace, but once she started telling it, her voice got steady. She described Dana's tone, her mom's kick at my foot, the way they argued about finishing me off at home. Then the video rolled. Watching it with 12 strangers made me want to crawl out of my skin, but I didn't look away. Her mom's lawyer tried to chip at her testimony, saying she couldn't be sure what she heard. The woman didn't blink. "I know exactly what I heard," she said. "It's burned into my head." On the third day, the detective went through the history, each ER visit, each injury. "You see the escalation," he told them. "You see the pattern. This didn't start in a parking lot. It started years ago, and it ended when he called for help." Dana never testified. She sat there in a dark blazer, hair smoothed back, scribbling notes she never handed to her lawyer. Her mom did testify. She was combative, rolling her eyes, saying I was soft, and provoked Dana by breathing like a hog. Even the court reporter looked up at that. Closing arguments were short. Morris told them he wasn't weak. He was surviving, and survival is not a crime. Her lawyer talked about family disputes and misunderstandings, but it sounded like someone trying to sell umbrellas after the rain stopped. The jury went out before lunch on the fourth day. I didn't eat. My sister and I sat in the hallway, watching deputies walk by. 90 minutes later, the bailiff called us in. The foreman stood, verdict sheets in hand. "Guilty on all counts," he read for Dana. Felony assault, attempted manslaughter, domestic violence. Same tone for her mom. Guilty of obstruction, accessory after the fact, and child endangerment. The judge thanked the jury and went straight to sentencing. The room went so still I could hear the ceiling fan hum when she said, 22 years for the defendant, Dana Walsh. No parole eligibility before 20. 11 years for the co-defendant, Marilyn Walsh. No parole before 10. Dana didn't cry. She didn't look at me. Her mom muttered something under her breath as they were cuffed and led out. I didn't catch the words. Didn't care. Afterward, the CPS rep met me outside the courtroom. "Full custody is yours," she said. "Both women are barred from contact indefinitely." She handed me the papers. They felt heavier than they should have. Brady was at my sister's rental when I came back. He was in the living room, building a Lego tower that leaned dangerously. "Hi, Dad," he said, not looking up from his work. Just that, like I'd been gone for a work trip instead of a trial that rewired our whole lives. Dana's world started crumbling before she even hit the prison bus. The soccer league she coached for scrubbed her name from the website. Parents pulled their kids. A post went up in the local Facebook group calling her a monster hiding behind a clipboard. It got shared hundreds of times. Her business partner bailed within a week, selling her half to cover debts. Sponsors dropped like flies. I didn't follow it closely. My sister read me headlines sometimes, but I didn't go looking. I went looking for work instead. The lumber mill on Route 4 was hiring. Honest hours, honest pay. They put me on the planer the first week, sanding boards smooth. My shoulders ached every night, but it was a clean ache, not the kind you hide under a shirt. First paycheck, I bought Brady a proper bed frame. He'd been sleeping on a mattress on the floor since Dana sold his old one for space. We built the new one together, him holding screws, me drilling. When it was done, he flopped onto it and said, "It's high like a pirate ship." I told him that meant he was the captain now. Every day after work, I walked past the mill's scrap pile, looking for pieces worth saving. Not for her. Not for anyone but me and Brady. Because for the first time in years, what I made and what I kept wasn't going to be taken from me. What I kept was quiet. It didn't brag. It didn't ask me to explain it. It just sat there in our little rental, in the corners Dana never managed to make hers, and let me learn how to move again without flinching. Recovery wasn't fast. The first week back at the mill, a guy in the lot slammed his truck door and my knees almost gave. I caught the side of the bed and pretended to tie my boot. Heat crawled up my neck like I'd been caught doing something wrong. I wasn't. My body still thought I was. Brady had nightmares most nights. I'd wake up to him whispering from his room, voice tiny. "Don't slam it. Please don't slam it." The first time I heard that, I stood in the hallway, hand on his doorknob, and let my forehead rest against the wood until my breathing got steady. Then I went in and lay on the floor beside his bed, not touching him, just being there. He quieted without waking. We started counseling on a Tuesday at 3, because that's when I could get off the mill floor and still make it across town. The guy, Alan, wore brown shoes and didn't blink much. He didn't do pity eyes. He asked questions and let me answer without rushing. The first session, he said, "We're going to make your house boring again." I almost laughed. I didn't, but I wanted to. Brady sat between us on the couch, swinging his feet, looking anywhere but at the box of tissues on the table. "Do we have to talk?" he asked. "No," Alan said. "You have to show up. Talking can wait." That helped. Awkward, but he was solid. No judgment. He gave Brady a stress ball shaped like a basketball. He gave me homework I could actually do. Walk the perimeter of my own house and name 5 things that were mine. The first time I named a coffee mug, the drill, the stack of lumber, Brady's new bed frame, and a busted tape measure. It felt like I was building a wall, one honest brick at a time. The head injury stuck around in petty ways. I'd get these migraines that felt like someone tightening a strap under my skin. Light stabbed, sound smeared. My balance went sideways if I turned too fast. At the mill, I learned to plant my feet wider, hands on the board until the world settled. At home, I kept a stool in the kitchen so I could sit while the pasta boiled. Brady started saying, "Stool time," like it was part of the recipe. Even with the headaches, I carved out hours in the garage. Wood didn't yell. It didn't ask me to justify a knot or defend a curve. It told the truth when you measured right and punished you when you rushed. I liked that. I liked the smell. Cedar, sawdust, a little oil. The first thing I built just for us was a narrow shelf by the door with hooks, a place for Brady's backpack and my mill badge. He hung his bag every day without me asking. He wanted order too. I got used to silence again. The good kind. Not the kind where you hold your breath waiting for a footstep. The kind where a house ticks, and a fridge hums, and your boy hums back, making up a song about nothing. We ate in that quiet sometimes. Other nights we put on the Reds game and didn't talk. Both felt clean. People asked about my scar. It ran crooked in a way even short hair couldn't hide. First few weeks I wore a cap. Then I stopped. At the store, a cashier pointed and said, "That from work?" I said, "My wife lost her temper one too many times." She went pale and said she was sorry. I shook my head. "Don't be, I'm not." I wasn't being brave. I was done making it easy for everyone else. The most important thing I did was stupid simple. I recorded myself talking. I took my old phone, cleaned the storage, and opened the voice memo app. I put it on the kitchen table after Brady went to bed and hit record. I said my name. I said what I did that day. I said what I made, who I saw, how much the headaches hurt on a scale of 1 to 10. I said it out loud so the room could hold it. Just my voice. Just to remind myself I had one. The third night, Brady came out with his dinosaur under his arm. "Who you talking to?" he asked. "Myself," I said. "Want to try?" He climbed into the chair, serious. I slid the phone toward him, the red line crawling. He breathed into the mic a few times, then said, "Brady." "Second grade. I like pizza." He looked at me. "Your turn." So we recorded nonsense. The next night, favorite color, worst cafeteria food, the number of steps from the front door to the couch. Some nights we just breathed. In, out. He giggled at first. Then he settled into it. The recording caught the sound of our house being boring. Alan said, "Rituals matter. Make the quiet a habit." We did. We checked the locks together. Front door, back door, garage. Brady called it the patrol. Then we each put one thing on the shelf by the door that meant the day counted. He'd pick a rock he'd found at recess. I'd put my mill gloves on the middle hook and leave them there like a flag. I still flinched when a car door popped too loud. It didn't stop just because I wanted it to. One Saturday in the Kroger lot, the same one, it happened. A guy closed his tailgate hard and my body misread it. My eyes flooded. Brady saw it. He didn't freak out. He squeezed my hand and said, "It's okay, Dad. It's not us." I nodded and kept walking. We got grapes and dish soap and a frozen pizza, and left without me losing the thread. That was a win. School sent home a flyer about family changes. I called the counselor and told her the deal without details. She said, "We have a group for kids who've seen hard things. No pressure." Brady went twice and decided he didn't like the snacks. I didn't push. We had our own group, every night at the kitchen table for 2 minutes of breathing into a phone. Neighbors asked careful questions. "How are you doing?" was code for, "What do we say to our kids about what your wife did?" I kept it simple. We're okay. We're healing. She's not part of our lives. If someone pushed, I said, "I'm not hiding. I'm just not explaining it for sport." Most people respected that. One guy made a joke about leashes and wives. I looked him dead in the eyes until he shut up. Work got easier. My balance improved. I learned to call in sick when the migraines threatened to flatten me instead of trying to muscle through and ending up useless. The foreman respected honesty. He said, "Take your day. Don't get dead." So I did. On those days, I'd sit on the garage stoop and sand something small by hand, the rhythm giving my headache somewhere to go. At night, when the house settled and the water heater kicked on, I didn't wait for stomping. I didn't listen for a key in the lock that would turn everything wrong. I listened to the clock on the stove and the scratch of Brady's pencil finishing homework he'd left too late. Sometimes he tossed me a spelling word. "How do you spell breathe?" he asked once. Tongue stuck out. "Breathe," I said. He wrote it down and nodded like it was no big deal. He didn't know he was naming the whole point. There were bad days. The day a woman in line at church told me she missed Dana's energy. I almost laughed. I didn't. I told her, "We don't." And I moved down the line. The day Brady brought home a Mother's Day project, he looked nervous. "Can I make it for Aunt Kay?" he asked. "You can make it for whoever shows up for you," I said. He grinned and drew a coffee cup with Oregon mountains on it. Mostly, healing looked like ordinary things, stacked, unremarkable, and stubborn. It looked like teeth brushing and shoes by the door, and a Lego tower with an impossible lean. It sounded like two voices into a phone at 10 at night saying nothing important and meaning all of it. One Thursday, Brady pressed the red button and held the phone between us. "What now?" he asked. "Now we breathe," I said. He counted us in, one finger up, then two. We inhaled. We exhaled. I reached over halfway through and set the phone on the table so we could keep going. Then I got up and turned off the kitchen light. A few months after Brady learned to count our breaths without looking at me for the rhythm, the phone rang. Unknown number. I almost let it go, but something made me swipe. Is this..." The voice cracked. "Is this the guy who posted about the Kroger thing?" His name was Josh, early 30s. He said he found my number through a men's support group I'd commented in a year ago. His words tumbled over each other. My wife. She started hitting me. Just little things. "But she's getting worse. I don't know what to do. Nobody's gonna believe me." I didn't waste time with soft comfort. Keep your phone ready. Record things. Don't wait for someone to believe you. Make them. He went quiet. Then I heard him trying not to cry. I didn't fill the space. I just let him know I was still there. When his breathing evened out, I told him about the door, the blood, the sirens, the argument in the parking lot about whether to finish me off at home, the silence after. "The worst day of my life saved my son," I said. "Yours might do the same, but you've got to get proof." "I'm scared," he whispered. "Good," I said. "Scared keeps you moving." Use it. That night, I found an unused flash drive in my desk. I slid it into an envelope with a note that said, "For when it's time." Not my 911 call, blank. I mailed it to the address he gave me without asking questions. A week later, he texted me a photo of the flash drive sitting on his nightstand. Under it, he'd typed, "I'm ready now." Brady turned 9 last week. He came into the garage while I was sanding the edge of a cedar bench and said, "What do you want for your birthday?" "A loud breath," I told him. He squinted like I'd just asked for a new moon, then grinned and filled his lungs until his cheeks puffed. He blew the air out like he was putting out a campfire. I smiled back. That's what surviving sounds like. Some nights, after Brady's in bed and the house is locked down, I dig my old phone out of the bottom drawer. The screen's cracked, the battery barely holds, but it still has that 1 2-minute voicemail. Not mine. Just the silence that came right after I whispered, "Help. Kroger lot." It's not really empty. In that silence, you can hear the background hum of a parking lot, the dispatcher's breath, maybe my own heart. You can hear the moment the tide turned, and I stopped being someone waiting to be believed. That silence changed everything, because sometimes the only thing louder than screaming is breathing. Question for listeners. If you were Josh, would you make the call before it got worse or wait? Comment below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.